Good morning, boys and girls. I hope you are doing well and staying safe. This is Mrs. Brewster, and I will be teaching you your science lesson for this week. We are going to be changing units and starting biology, which is my favorite, and I hope you all enjoy it as well. I am going to go ahead and share my screen with you for this so that you can follow along with me. We're going to be starting with cells. Cells are the smallest, most basic living organism. Some organisms are just one cell, but we won't be learning about those. We're going to be learning specifically about plant and animal cells today. This is a picture of blood. It's got red and white blood cells. What is a cell? Three things. A cell is the smallest unit of living matter. Both plant and animals are made up of cells. Living things are made up of millions of cells. Rocks are not living things. Plastic, anything made of plastic, metal, glass, not living things. They are not made up of cells. In order to be made up of cells, you need to be alive. So anything that is alive is made up of cells. Robert Hooke discovered cells in 1665. He took a slide of a piece of cork, which is a type of plant. He put it in under a microscope, one of the first microscopes, and saw this. He couldn't see really close up, but he could see enough to see that these plants were made up of these little compartments, boxes and circles. And he didn't see that there was anything inside of them. So he just called them empty cells, building blocks. But he couldn't have been more wrong. As you get a closer look into cells, we will find out they are actually very complex structures. All living things are also called organisms, and all living things or organisms carry out 5 basic functions. If they don't carry out these 5 basic functions, then they are not considered a living thing. They are not considered an organism. We see reptiles, amphibians, plants, flowers, trees, birds, mammals, all sorts of things. Those are all living things. Lichen. So, number 1, all living things grow. We all grow. Our cells multiply. They make us bigger and bigger as we grow into a mature adult or as a plant grows into a mature plant, starting from seed to tree, baby to adult. All living things use fuel for energy. Animals consume their food. Humans consume their food, both herbivores, carnivores, omnivores. Plants, who are also living things, make their own fuel for energy. They make their own food in a part of their cell, which we will just talk about later, called chloroplasts, through the process of photosynthesis. So even though they don't have to eat their food, they do make food, and they use it for their energy as well. All living things get rid of waste. All plants get rid of waste, which is great because they get rid of oxygen, which helps us to breathe, which is wonderful. And all animals and humans get rid of waste through pooping. Number 4, all living things reproduce or have babies. For plants, it's seeds, either the wind or water or fruit or vegetable. They all have seeds or a way of reproducing. And animals have babies. This is a mama elk with her baby fawn. And humans have babies. Some animals reproduce by laying eggs, but they all reproduce. And lastly, number 5, all living things respond to their environment and environmental changes. A human, when touching a hot iron pan, will react from the pain and let go, hopefully, because they're being burned. So we are reacting to our environment. Even plants react to their environment. They need sunlight to make their food, so they will grow towards the sunlight. You can see that in lots of plants. They're always leaning in towards the sun. The flowers are facing the sunlight. So let's really take a look at the cells now. Please pay attention. You do need to know this for the project following this lesson. Plant cells. This is an example of a drawing of a plant cell. This first part is the cell wall, which is made up of cellulose, which is a very hard substance that keeps the plant cells from keeping their shape. So they have to stay in a certain shape. Animal cells are different. They don't have this cell wall. They are able to move around and be free, but plant cells have walls and they keep them rigid and structured. That's why plants don't just get up and walk around. All right, number 2, mitochondria. Mitochondria, these orange things, those turn the food that is provided into energy. They take the glucose food and they turn it into energy for the plant to use in order for the plant cell to process different things and to function. Chloroplasts, number 3, these green things in there, those are chloroplasts. Now this is really cool, something that animal and human cells do not have. Only plant cells have these. That is the part of the cell that uses the process of photosynthesis for the plant to make its own food just by using sunlight, water, and nutrients from the soil. And it is able to make food for itself, which is really cool. The nucleus, number 4, that's the big brain in the middle of the cell. All cells have this nucleus, which is surrounded by chromosomes, number 5, and these chromosomes are the DNA to the cell. So these are plant chromosomes. Each of your cells in your body have a nucleus that has chromosomes that tell the cells what they're supposed to be and what you are supposed to look like. Pretty cool. Number 6, the vacuole. That's this big blue thing. This is a storage tank. It stores water, food, and waste. Any extra water, food, and waste in the cell goes in here. Plants have one very large vacuole. Animals do not. Animals have little ones, multiple little ones. Okay, so the vacuole takes up a very large space here. It's mostly filled with water and waste and a little bit of food, extra food if they make extra food. All right, then the cell membrane is right next to that cell wall. It's like a second layer for the plants. In animals, it's the only layer around. In plants, it would be the inner layer. And number 8, cytoplasm. That's this light blue jelly that's surrounding all the different parts and cushioning them and allowing things to go and move around inside the cell. That's the cytoplasm. So the cell is mostly full of cytoplasm besides the other parts in there. Now, as you can see, there are other parts to the plant. We are only going over these 8. These are what we're going to learn today. Here are some more pictures of plant cells. As you can see, all of these cells that have pictures of them have all the parts we talked about. They have the nucleus with the chromosomes around them. And all 3 of this in here, it's yellow instead of purple. And then they have the green chloroplasts that make the food in all 3 of these. They have the mitochondria that turn the food into energy. That's these orange ones in all 3 of here, kind of more yellow here. The giant blue vacuole, which is full of extra water, food, and waste. That's storage for the cell. And of course, it's surrounded by the cell membrane and then the cell wall. The inner cell membrane wall and then the inner cell wall, or the outer cell wall, inner cell membrane, outer cell wall that surround the cell and protects it. Animal cells. Animal cells / human cells have these 6 parts. There are more parts. These are the 6 we're going to learn today. The outer part, the cell membrane, like the plant cell, they have a cell membrane, but it's not kept in place by a cell wall. It's able to move, it's able to bend, which allows animals and humans to make more complex systems and be able to move, like with muscles, and you make nerves. This keeps it from being in a rigid structure like a plant. Number 2, the nucleus, same sort of thing. It's purple here too. The brain of the cell. It tells the cell what it's supposed to do, if it needs to multiply, if it needs to make more energy, if it needs to get rid of more waste, whatever the cell needs, the nucleus tells it what to do. And it is surrounded by the DNA chromosomes, which are the roadmap to telling the cells what they are and how they're supposed to make the animal or the human to look like and to work. Your DNA determines your eye color, your everything. Number 4, mitochondria. These orange ones. These orange ones are the same thing. They convert the food, only this time it's the food we eat for animals and for humans. We eat the food, we digest the food in our stomachs or intestines. It moves through the red blood cells into the bloodstream and onto all the different cells in the body. And the cells absorb the food, and the mitochondria convert that food into energy for the cell to use. Number 5, vacuole. In the plant, it was really large. In an animal, they have multiple small ones throughout. That's represented by these little blue dots. And then lastly, number 6, cytoplasm. In this case, it's kind of a pink salmon, light-colored jelly that is surrounding all of the different pieces of the cell, cushioning them and allowing things to travel in throughout the cell. Okay, here are some more examples of animal cells / human cells. So in all 3 of these, we have the cell membrane, which is the outer ring, outer circle. As you can see, there are entrances and exits that are regulated in those membranes for things to come in and out. There's a nucleus, and they're in different colors in this ones, that are surrounded by chromosome DNA. And that's the brain of the cell. They have the mitochondria, which convert the food into energy for the cell to use, and the vacuoles. Here you can see green vacuoles, here orange, here white. They're just little circles throughout the cell that are able to store waste, extra food, and water for the cells. All right. So let's go over the differences again. Plant cells have cell walls and chloroplasts. Animal cells do not. Chloroplasts allow the plants to make their own food. Animals have to eat their food, either from plants or other animals. Plant cells have a bigger vacuole, takes up a lot of space in the cell. Animal cells have multiple little ones. Those are the main differences we're going over today. All right, to-do list after this. Hopefully you were being a good listener. Good job getting through the whole video for the most part. These are the 2 assignments you have now. Read pages 22 through 25 in your science textbooks. It will go over what we just went over, but it will give you also more pictures and examples. Then you are to create a model of a plant or animal cell. Let me go over the details of that. For your cell models, you can keep it simple. You can do just a colorful drawing. That'll be great. Make sure you label the different parts. use different colors for each part. And you can draw that out. You could choose to make a model out of Play-Doh or clay. Once again, you do need multiple colors, so you need to figure that out with that. Or you could use food like Jell-O, cake, Legos, or other toys, the things you can find. But if you're going to use other things to make this, make sure that your parent is okay with it. Ask them before you use something. Please get as creative as you can. I am excited to see what you guys come up with. Here are some examples just to spark some creativity. This one is clay, and it's a plant cell, got a vacuole, chromosomes, and it's labeled well. This one's made out of Legos, also well labeled. I think this one is the animal. Just has a cell membrane, no chloroplast. So this one is a plant. It's made from a cake with frosting. Oh, yay. So you got to make it and then you can eat it after. All right. And that's clearly labeled as well. Here's the rubric. You can make either an animal or a plant cell. You do not need to make both. Pick one. For the animal cell, please include all 6 parts and make sure they are all clearly labeled. The plant cell includes all 8 parts, so you have 2 extra parts, and they all need to be clearly labeled. Make sure that your design is creative and colorful. I especially want to make sure use different colors for different parts, so it's easier to differentiate the different parts of the cell. Then send a picture of it to your teacher. And they're done. So please feel free to email teacher if you have any questions about this assignment or if you have a question about this lesson. And thank you for being such good listeners. Hope you enjoy and have fun making these. Miss you, and hope you are doing well. Bye-bye.